Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we finally talk about the Blackstone Fortresses and what they are. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day, and if you have any suggestions about any other topics, just comment down below. Now stay to the end of the video because we do have a giveaway. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Blackstone Fortresses. A Blackstone Fortress is one of the strongest spacefaring constructs used in the 41st millennium. Originally, these massive star forts were created by the Old Ones, an ancient race that ruled the Milky Way galaxy long before humanity even existed. They constructed these weapons to fight the Necrons in what is known as the War in Heaven, a galactic-spanning conflict that happened 60 million years ago. The creators of these ships fled the galaxy during a time called the Enslaver Plague, ending the War in Heaven and leaving behind their weapons of mass destruction. Ignorant of their true power, the many ally races that were left for dead by the Old Ones attempted to harness the power of these massive star forts, but their technological superior masters never truly passed down the full knowledge of the Blackstone Fortresses. The ancient Eldar were one of the most successful species to unravel some of the mysteries of the ships, but even their knowledge of the technology was steeped in myth and legend. To the ancient Eldari, these ships became known as the talismans of Vol, weapons of the Eldari god of smith and craftsman. Many species throughout time attempted to harness the Blackstone Fortress's power. They were amazed by how these fortresses could glide through the void with no obvious means of Newtonian propulsion, and were seemingly able to ignore the laws of physics. Their shielding and armor, several times more potent than the greatest battleship, made for an excellent defense, while their weaponry harnessed warp technology to unleash a beam of pure immaterium with the power to obliterate any ship at an extreme range and in a single volley. Even more terrible, the capabilities of the Blackstone Fortress could be combined with one another to produce more potent warp-based effects. Two Blackstone Fortresses could strip a world of its biosphere in a blink of an eye, and three could destabilize an entire star. At the heart of every Blackstone Fortress was an ancient and massive portal to the webway. The pathways it led into were huge arterial routes that even starships could navigate. The innermost chambers of the Blackstone Fortresses were vast, easily 100 Terran miles across. Both its ceilings and its floors were lost in shadow. A titanic black column arose at the chamber's center. Out from that column radiated hundreds of bridges, stairways, platforms, and gantries. Countless dark doorways opened onto the Blackstone Fortress's heart, huge portals that seemed created for giants, while the soaring bridges connecting the central column to the rest of the fortress were wide enough for Imperial titans to cross. The Blackstone Fortresses possessed some form of innate artificial intelligence and an arcane sensor system. When danger was detected, flashes of pale green luminescence danced along its darkened corridors, the ancient structure using these displays of light to warn its denizens of the approaching danger. The interiors of the Blackstone Fortresses were not always empty. Skittering through the corridors in tightly packed groups were the spindle drones, ancient insectile sentinels that tirelessly searched for the newly accumulated waste, and cutting any foreign material they found into smaller pieces, using some sort of pulse of energy. If spindle drones encountered intruders, they followed the same protocols, becoming steadily more aggressive as their enemies fought to defend themselves. By all accounts, these spindle drones appeared to be formed of the same substance as the Blackstone Fortresses. Their triangular appearance mimicked the shifting shapes of the chambers they inhabited. Both a danger inside and out, these impressive structures would become a gem in any Xeno empire that managed to tap into its raw power. Countless alien empires rose and fell, but the Blackstone Fortresses remained. In recent times, the Imperium of Man has come across a collection of 6 Blackstone Fortresses scattered across the Gothic sector in the Segmentum Obscurus. At first, they lay in a dormant state, with all but passive power systems shut down despite the best efforts to revive them. Although almost entirely shut down, these Blackstone Fortresses were still open to exploitation by Imperial forces. The Adeptus Mechanicus linked numerous weapon systems to its alien and nearly incomprehensible energy grid, opened up vast chambers to be used as attack craft launch bays, and installed defense turrets over its surface. This allowed humans to live in them and turned them into powerful space bases, fortified hardpoints that were central to the stellar fortification in the star systems they occupied. The Blackstone Fortresses became the foundation of the Imperial Navy's strategy and presence in the Gothic sector. Each subsector was based upon the location of a Blackstone fortress, which functioned as the primary naval base for the subsector. It wasn't long before the forces of chaos plotted to gain control of these superstructures. Early in the 41st millennium, the Chaos fleets of Abaddon the Despoiler flooded into the Gothic sector, marking a beginning of the 12th Black Crusade. All 6 Blackstone fortresses served as fortified naval bases in the Imperium's defense of the sector, taking up blocking positions above vital worlds and outposts. It was at Rebo 5 that an enormous armada of Chaos ships broke through the Imperial lines to lay direct siege to one of the Blackstone fortresses. As the invading fleet drew within range, the Blackstone fortress's power systems shut down completely, rendering it defenseless against the invasion. Over the course of the war, 2 further Blackstone fortresses were captured by Abaddon's forces. By some arcane means, the heretic Astartes brought more of the ancient systems into function that had ever been thought possible by Imperial tech priests. The newly awakened power of the 3 were used to wreak havoc on the Taranis star, leading it to a supernova that wiped out the entire system. But through grim determination and bloody sacrifice, the defenders of the Gothic sector were able to drive back the invaders, and Abaddon fled into the warp with 2 of his captured Blackstone fortresses. The remaining 4 then mysteriously shattered into thousands of pieces. The next time the power of a Blackstone fortress was unleashed upon the Imperium was during the 13th Black Crusade. Abaddon hurled one of the colossal stations into the surface of Cadia, and the resulting warp storm that enveloped the planet led to the collapse of the Cadian Gate, the bulwark against the Eye of Terror that had stood for 10 millennia. The last of the 6 Blackstone fortresses was gifted by Abaddon to Huron Blackheart, the tyrannical master of the Red Corsairs, and now sits within the Maelstrom at the heart of the Great Rift. In all the galaxy, there had been no sign of any other Blackstone fortresses in existence until recently. As the Great Rift tore open, the entire galaxy was flooded with waves of chaos energy, embroiled in newly formed warp storms. But other regions of space that had been shrouded for millennia were suddenly unveiled. In the Imperium's western reaches, at the far edge of the Segmentum Pacificus, a patch of reality, known to be completely astropathically silent, began to emit a strange signal. Reaching the source of these signals proved difficult, but for those vessels that made the journey came whispers of a monumental discovery: another Blackstone fortress. Those who follow the signals emanating from the Blackstone fortress may be able to navigate to the uncharted tracks of warp space, or the vast void expanse that separated it from the nearest star. At the end of this journey is a sprawling field of debris, stretching for millions of miles in all directions, a dense cloud made of the remnants of ancient warships and fragmented battle stations. Where this astral debris came from and how it came to surround the Blackstone fortress is a mystery. Some bear insignia from the early millennia of the Imperium, whereas others are branded with chaos marks, Aldari runes, or Necron glyphs. But the overwhelming majority are the designs not captured by Imperial records, giving hint to the numerous ancient xenospecies that vanished long before mankind took to the stars. The number of these wrecks is beyond counting, but each bears evidence of some great and destructive force that was leveled against them, with enormous holes burnt clean through their hulls, and fuselages crushed as though in the grip of a mighty claw. The wrecks orbit slowly around the Blackstone fortress, which lies hidden at the center of the nebula of debris. Newly arriving vessels dare not travel too close, for aside from the dangers of colliding with floating wreckage, there is the risk that whatever apocalyptic armaments caused such obliteration could still be operational. Yet there is much to entice those who made the voyage to the edge of the debris cloud. Amongst the wrecks, there are weapon systems, star charts, and archaeotech unseen elsewhere in the galaxy, and scavenger crews are sent out in small shuttles to pick clean the skeletal remains of the dead ships. But the truly adventurous delve even further into the nebula, crossing their way through the floating graveyards towards the Blackstone fortress itself. Traveling into the nebula requires a vessel small and nimble enough to avoid the colossal debris that constantly circulates. There are no maps to guide pilots and navigators towards relatively clear channels, or if such charts do exist, they are guarded closely by those who possess them. But a craft that is able to survive eventually emerges into a sphere of empty space, at the heart of which lies the Blackstone Fortress. Under the shadow of the monolithic structure, there is a small way station, cobbled together from pieces of scrap and anchored to a solitary node of warp-entangled space. It is called Precipice by its ragtag inhabitants. Upon arrival, each vessel is lashed to Precipice, preventing it from being drawn in by the massive gravity well of the Blackstone Fortress. And before being allowed to enter the station, an ultimatum is delivered to the crew. Set aside animosities, ancient hatreds, and petty factionalism before coming on board, or face annihilation. Such aggressive precautions are a necessity, for Precipice is populated with starfarers from far and wide, who must be dissuaded from tearing each other apart. An ad hoc cadre of the most powerful and influential captains enforce this uneasy truce, though acts of sabotage and assassinations are still commonplace, especially when it serves their captain's purpose. Regardless of its dangers, Precipice is the final port of call for those brave and brash enough to enter the Blackstone Fortress. It serves as a bartering point where travelers can buy, sell, or steal the equipment and knowledge needed to survive the horrors that lie ahead of them. It is a locale where adventurers of every ilk can form temporary alliances for shared survival. It is the last point of reason before plunging into a realm of madness. The interior of the Blackstone Fortress is a brutalist labyrinth of corridors and chambers. Some of its geometric halls are vast, arrayed with spire-like towers along their length, or dropping away into yawning chasms lit with energy. Others are narrow and winding, their acutely twisting floors covered with millennia of debris. Indecipherable control panels, created by those dead races that have tried to harness the Blackstone Fortress's power, line the floors and walls, and alongside these are the remnants of those who ventured inside in ages past, or who were brought within its bounds against their will. Supply crates, desecrated corpses, and decaying exploration vehicles are strewn throughout the chambers, along with fragmented pieces of once grand spacecraft. Some of this morbid debris bears the symbols of biology of known races. Most is completely unrecognizable, either too ancient or too esoteric to be identified. Relics of arcane technology lie clutched in the hands of the ancient dead, or buried amongst the heaps of slowly corroding scrap, waiting to be collected by those intrepid enough to find them and pry them free. It is from this archaeotech that adventurers set up Precipice. The opening closest to Precipice is known as the Stygian Aperture. Capable of docking a handful of small craft, it is said to be the safest and most stable port of ingress yet found. Within the Stygian Aperture are a number of transport chambers that, when entered and activated, descend deep inside the fortress. The operation of these chambers is far from precise. By manipulating the enigmatic rune interfaces that are arrayed across the tetraform interior of the chamber, travel can be initiated, but dictating where in the Blackstone Fortress the chamber will go is beyond the knowledge of any who have thus far set foot inside. Once a chamber arrives at its destination, it falls silently, powering down for an hour, a week, or even longer. As such, those on board have little choice but to press forward, probing their way through the warren-like halls until they find another transport to take them back to the surface. The stranded explorers must keep their wits about them as they explore the darkness, lest they stumble into a sudden plunging abyss, be scalded to death by an unseen hyperthermal vent, or trigger one of the latent defense mechanisms that are hidden within the various chambers. Whatever route is taken cannot be mapped, for unlike in other known Blackstone fortresses, the internal structure of this creation reshapes itself regularly. Rooms that have been passed through detach from the corridors to which they led, being replaced by walls or simply left as yawning chasms. Similarly, paths are assembled from the chambers that tessellate the craft's unseen dimensions. Why the rooms move and what determines their arrangement can only be guessed at, but those who walk these shifting halls have a dreadful suspicion that the fortress is aware of those inside, and is dictating where they can roam. The inherent danger An uncertainty of exploring the Blackstone Fortress means that only the boldest and most determined occupants of Precipice ever undertake an expedition. But still the draw to enter is strong. Most of the debris scattered inside is even older and more esoteric than found amongst the nebula of floating wreckage that surrounds the fortress. It has been theorized that the broken craft of the nebula are drawn in by the Blackstone Fortress's gravity and consumed within the largest aperture, thus providing a form of sustenance for the fortress. Their remnant pieces are then scattered through the innards of the monolithic space station as its chambers shift. In this way, the fortress's halls are always lined with incalculable riches. Furthermore, of those who have ventured inside, only a fraction ever emerge. Unwary explorers may find themselves cut off from any route of escape, or suddenly surrounded by rooms laden with defense systems that each promise a uniquely horrific demise. And whatever treasures these unfortunates had gathered before their end also lie ready to be recovered. Yet the most valuable commodity is information on the fortress itself. Scans made by the most advanced craft at Precipice have revealed strange nodes amongst the constantly shuffling chambers, so-called hidden vaults, though what they contain is still unknown. Any data on these vaults, or clues on how to steer the transports towards them, are priceless finds. But these riches also come with a price. While delving through the halls, adventurers may cross paths with clusters of drone-like sentries, packs of predatory creatures, and squads of bloodthirsty warriors. As adventurers and hostiles roam the halls, they invariably cross paths. The ensuing firefights are tense and brutal, with distrust and animosity between the explorers temporarily set aside until the common enemy has been eliminated. Fighters dive for cover behind wreckage or duck into trench-like openings in the floors and walls. From there, they lay down hails of covering fire, while their makeshift allies move to positions of advantage or attempt to outflank and snipe their foes through gaps in the debris. The sounds of guns, grenades, and bellows of war cries thunder through the dark halls, and those fighters who fall are picked clean after the battle's end, their war gear either taken by the survivors or consumed by the folding architecture of the fortress itself. Many on Precipice believe the Blackstone Fortress has traveled across space and time, collecting its vile menagerie of creatures. Others think there are many technologies nested amongst the fortress's chambers that allow it to reach out and pluck entities from real space, the webway, or even the warp. What is known is that the Blackstone Fortress steers their aggressive entities towards those who enter its walls, using them like the particles of an immune system to purge intruders. But even more disturbing is the evidence that the fortress may be pitting those within its walls against each other while it slowly awakens, biding its time as it prepares for some as yet unrealized purpose. And those were 40 facts on the Blackstone Fortresses. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to share it with your friends on Reddit, in Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media you guys use. If you have a game, or if you want to run a game with the Blackstone Fortresses box set and you want your friends to kind of have a little background knowledge on what a Blackstone Fortress is, show them this video, and hopefully this kind of sparks some ideas, and while they're playing the game, they might be looking for certain things. Now, what exactly this Blackstone Fortress is, the one that's the setting for the Blackstone Fortress box set, I'm not sure what its end result is going to be. You have to play the game, and according to GW, it's going to be something that's going to be supported for a while. So what's the purpose of this Blackstone Fortress? I'm not too sure. It's a lot different than what was there during the Black Crusade, because during the Black Crusade, those Blackstone Fortresses, like the lore stated, they were just basically shells that were shut down, whereas this Blackstone Fortress is very active. So I really would recommend for you to pick up the Blackstone Fortress Warhammer Quest game. It comes with so much stuff for the price, and it's just a completely different game than what I guess Warhammer 40K players might be used to. It's something that is ongoing. So if you're into D&D, and if you're into those type of role-playing games, or games that make a group get together every weekend or something, definitely pick up the Blackstone Fortress. We're actually going to be giving away a Blackstone Fortress box set. To say thank you to all of our subscribers, we are giving away this awesome box set All you have to do to participate is number 1, be a subscriber, because this is a subscriber appreciation giveaway. Number 2, like this video, comment down below and share it, like I said, either on Reddit or Facebook, whatever social media or forum you use. It's really important that you are a subscriber and that you do comment. We will be picking out the winner from the comment section below. It could be anywhere in the world. We'll ship it out to you guys. Again, this is just to say thank you to everybody who has been subscribing and who watch our videos. And then at the same time, we really want you guys to play this game. This game seems pretty badass. We might play it at some point. I might buy it down the line. Right now we're playing D&D, so we already have one of those types of games. I don't want to introduce another one and then have us kind of push away from Warhammer 40K, because we haven't played the tabletop in a while. I think it was like a month before last Sunday. But yeah, if you guys want to win, just simply comment down below, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and then we'll pick the winners next week. So today is probably Thursday, so the winner will be announced next Thursday. Thank you guys so much for being subscribers. It's because of you that we can create these videos. And there's so much lore within the box set, so if you don't want to wait to see if you've won this, or if you want to just pick a one up, and if you win later on, you could just sell the box set that you won. I really recommend that you do, just for the fact that the models are awesome and the lore is really revealing. There is so much lore within the box set itself that we did not cover on this video. You just have to pick up the box set in order to learn that kind of stuff. But thanks for everything, guys. Don't forget, we have a Patreon. If you want to support us on Patreon, it's because of our patrons that we can do giveaways. So jump on over to Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more content and do more giveaways. But thank you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gershwan with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.